You by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. This video is brought to you by BetUS.
What's good, y'all? Another great Wednesday, Coop. We're back on action. It's been a bit. So thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. We got a lot to talk about here. We've got the AP poll. We've got to talk camp because a lot of y'all losing y'all mind and it shouldn't be done. So, of course, thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think you deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. Coop, happy Wednesday, man. What's going on with you? Talk to the people.
Yo, what is going on? It's 16 days away from Sooner football. And as I posted out today, it's Danny Okoye days away, so 16, and it looks like we are excited. We're doing better than PG. PG just had his first baby scenario back at the crib by himself. So everybody be praying for PG because apparently I hear that he's a little squeamish when it comes to changing the diaper.
Squeamish with changing diapers. Yeah, PG, I need to hear about this. I know I'm curious about how you feel about changing diapers. That was an easy part for me, even though I did a lot of, my sister did a lot of babysitting, so I did a lot of helping her, so I was completely used to it. But yes, that's funny that you're feeling that way. But y'all know, thank y'all for coming in. Y'all know the routine. Chicken, yes, I was too nice to Locked On Auburn. Look, man, y'all know I like to play in the sandbox. I play nice when it comes to a lot of people. And I told them, if there was a game I was wondering about, it's the first road game for Jackson Arnold.
Let's go somewhere else.
Defense travels. So that's the good thing. That's the one thing we don't have to worry about. He's gonna let me hear all about it later when we record. All right, yeah, get your life together. And Sooner Freak, yeah. I don't think that we're going to lose the game, but they are one of the 3 teams that I have on my list of teams that if we did lose a game, it's potential, but not saying it will happen. But anyway, we'll get off of that. We got to talk AP poll. We got to talk a lot of stuff. This video, of course, is presented by our partners over at BetUS. Check them out in the link in the description below, as well as the pinned comment. So, yeah, I play in the sandbox. Cool, man. It's been kind of interesting the last 4 days. First scrimmage went down, and it appears that most of our people are losing their minds because I guess things were bad when it comes to the scrimmage. How'd you feel about it?
I mean, let's go with this. You've got the highest and most production returning in the SEC on defense, right? With the Oklahoma defense. This is a group that's been together under Venables now going on a 3rd year. And you have a first-year quarterback. You're tinkering with offensive line. You had a couple of your receivers banged up. Without the last couple pieces, you're going to have a defense that is going to show out a little earlier. And that's just going to happen. Go look at the Ole Miss practice reports. It's the same situation. They're dealing with the same situation, and so you just got to understand that, when you're working on situational scrimmages, which is typically what your scrimmage one is. I mean, Danny Stutzman had a pick 6 on Jackson Arnold because he legitimately knew exactly what the play was, what was going to happen, and all he had to do was just be disciplined and trust in the film. And what happens? That happens. So since then, the past 2 days, from what I understand, is the offense has cooked a little bit more, and there's been more give and take. But if you're going to have the defense that we've been predicting that we're going to have, that's going to happen. You would expect that defense to get theirs more often than the offense. Because, listen, we're not used to it as Oklahoma fans at this point. We've been used to the defense just being part of the team that has to be there. Kind of like the punting and kicking unit. But part of the team that just has to be there. And the offense was just torching them. I mean, Kyler Murray struggled, at the beginning of 2018. And that was the whole, is there a quarterback controversy between Austin Kendall and Kyler Murray? Dude goes out and wins the Heisman. So I'm not saying that Jackson Arnold's going out and winning the Heisman, Jay. But I'm just saying that's what we want to see. Well,
I mean,
because I'm not there yet. Let's, I look in the pudding for the proof. So we got to see some of the
fair.
pudding come out to the table. But I do know what we have in this defense, and I do know what we have in that side of the ball from a coaching perspective. So, but it's come together. There was, I heard that scrimmage the other day. Brennan Thompson went deep first play of the scrimmage, and there was a pass interference, and so he got mugged. And so it's not like Jackson Arnold went out there and threw 14 interceptions. He had 3 turnovers against this defense in a short scrimmage. So
that's a fair point. I like what you're thinking. We'll dive more into the fall camp notes and stuff in a minute, but we're going to first jump here into the AP poll. This is where I want to jump into. Let's pull this up. And Coop, as you can, of course, see here, we have first AP poll, right? I didn't put out a standard video on it. I wanted to. But I thought about it, I was like, nah, me and Coop can talk about this because I think this is probably one of those conversations that we could really break things down. Now, looking at this, first and foremost, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 SEC teams in the top 20, which is crazy to me that we have that many in the top 20. And us as Sooners, we face 2, 3, 4, 5 of those top 6 that's above us. So I get the warranted question and the statements of, oh, Oklahoma has the toughest schedule in the SEC or the toughest schedule in college football. Well, one of the toughest, because we're seeing nothing but top dudes. Coop, when you saw this come down the line, Oklahoma at 16, what came to mind?
that's a lot of SEC. This is why you this is why you come into this in this league is for competition. And you heard, whether it's Joe C, Harris, Brent Venables, whatever coaching staff. Whatever coach, Patty Gasso, this is, we run 2 competition, and this is going to help, because if OU goes out and handles their business with this schedule, there's not but it's the Big 12. Also I think this is great because this just proves that you do have to take each game and each week by week. Because, there's probably going to be a team that's, not in the top 25 that'll also be bouncing up there from the SEC. So, you look at it, Oklahoma's right there within striking distance if business gets taken care of. And, you got guys up in front of you that, a lot of us feel that are games that are very, very winnable for Oklahoma. And I'd rather them be up in front than back behind us, threatening to get bounced out the lead. So it's also, Jay, it's also August 14th. We play LSU, which is currently I'm not 100% sure, but I do know it's August. It's August 14th. Just making sure. You're killing me here. Is your watch off? You made me doubt. I'm staring at the date on my computer. But I
figured I could confuse you.
You play LSU, late November, and is that team going to still be there? Is Missouri still going to be there? So you've got everybody out in front of you that you want to take a shot at, and I don't think the poll ends up like this.
That's a fair point. I don't think it's bad that we have all these teams ahead of us because, again, like you said, I don't know how many of these teams we're actually going to see that's going to be ranked in the end, right? I expect Texas and Alabama to be there, right? I'm still iffy on Ole Miss. Everyone talks about just how much talent. It's the most talent they've ever had and best team ever and all of that. I still have questions on that. I got to see if that happens. Missouri, I'm not sold on them. One good year does not give me something. I need a little bit more history, right? Same LSU, historically terrible defense, new defensive staff. By the time we see them, they should be better. By the time. But we'll see if that's actually what it looks like. Tennessee, they should be right there, if not higher, when we actually meet, because it'd be in the beginning of the season, and their schedule's quite favorable. So
Yeah.
but I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked that we're playing so many tough teams. I want Oklahoma to have this challenge. I want us to go in there and disrupt people. It's funny because I made one of the running jokes I have on Locked On Sooners when I do that. Check that out daily. Comes out in the mornings. Is every time we start to do the previews of some of these teams, which we'll do them here starting next week. Me and Coop will go through each game, and really, we'll probably break up into 4 segments. And do every single game between Sunday and Wednesday, and then really heavily preview Temple right before we play against them that Wednesday before. But my running joke is I find like their best player, not saying hopefully they don't play in the game, just hopefully they're just sitting out. I don't want to be hurt. I still want them to play, right? And the joke behind that is that every team's going to have an elite player in some capacity, especially in the SEC. Got at least one. Every single team has one. That's why the conference is so tough. All we've got to do is go in there, though, and punch them in the throat. And I think we can. And the lack of respect that we've received as an institution, we can redeem that by punching people in the throat that are ranked higher than us. Now, it's funny, ESPN's FPI came out predictions. Shout out to Sooner Wire for dropping this. They've got all the games for this season for Oklahoma, and where ESPN believes the computers, what ESPN computers are saying what we'll do. So, Coop, how many games do you think that the ESPN computers say that we should lose?
2.
Pretty good. That's exactly how many they say. There's 2 games on here. Let me verify, make sure it wasn't 3. If I'm correct, there were 2 games. No, there's 3. There's 3. I'm sorry. They got us losing 3. There's 3 games in here that we're not considered winning, but they're all close. Like, there's 2 games that's not close. The 2 games that are not close, which is really weird to me, is Missouri and Texas. That's the ones that they actually say that it won't be close, right? Texas is a 34% probability of winning. Missouri is a 45. Now, 45 is close, but that is the one that's the furthest, right?
Yeah.
Alabama's 48.8. So they're thinking that one's borderline toss-up, similar to Missouri, but a little bit more of a toss-up. They're giving us LSU at 52. They're giving us Ole Miss at 53. They're also giving us Auburn at 62. They're thinking we're going to start off the season 6-0. Going up against Texas. Or 5-0 going against Texas.
I mean, listen, Jay, I don't know if you've gotten the hit up yet, but I mean, we may have to go play running back at Texas this year. So they're open.
Actually,
anyway.
I got the email today. I was told to get my physical together because I'm close to 200 pounds now. So 5'11", 200 is what they're looking for in a running back. And yeah, I got my email.
I mean, listen, if there's 2 games, I mean, 16 of the last 18. I can't, is it somewhere around that? I mean, like 15 of the last 18. Like, why is this? Yeah. Why is this changing? Like, it means more. I don't care. Like, yes, it's a rivalry game, but listen, I mean, my 10 and 2 is based off this. I think that it's hard to have your top game every single week. Right. And so I've got a small group of teams that I think are going to give Oklahoma those opportunities.
Blues. Right.
Yes. So Texas is not one of them. It just isn't. And I'm going to focus on Oklahoma, but I don't even think. I mean, again, it's a rivalry game, but I don't think Texas is it. I think the staff. I think it's somewhat personal, with Missouri. So, I tend to say, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Auburn. If Auburn has anything of a pulse on offense, and then Alabama and LSU, because it's there and it's going to be a crazy environment. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth, because I'm like, the computers say that, they show us showing out, but then at the same time they say that, the biggest threat against us is Texas. Based off what? I mean, they had the best team that they've had in 20 years, last year, and they couldn't get it done. We have more returning production, and I think are more talented just across the board. They have lost a significant amount. And again, they've drugged now a wide receiver, a linebacker, and a tight end over to take snaps at running back. So I don't want anybody to get hurt, because we're starting to see a lot of more of these. I think a DN just went down at Missouri today.
Yep.
That's
a big one.
Texas with a couple guys, because injuries in the SEC don't mean that like your team takes a huge step back because you lost a big producer. What it means is your competitive depth takes a hit, and you need that as part of being in the SEC. So it's 16 days out. Hawk season is coming to a wrap. So I said it in the tweet, for the show on the X-Bird, but it's going to be game time here in 16 days, and that's why you play the game.
Yeah, that's why you play the games. The whole point of playing the games is to see if you can live up to the quote-unquote expectations. So, no, it's a valid point. And the Texas game is going to be very interesting as we're jumping into that one, because, like you said, with all the injuries that's coming down the line for them, you have to wonder. I mean, they put a wide receiver and a tight end at running back in their practices, right? And I think it's funny because it's almost a pot calling kettle black type situation where, you've got all of these Texas insiders talking about the struggles for Oklahoma. But to me, that running game is critical for Quinn Ewers to be any good.
Because
it's critical, mission critical.
Texas returns 8 catches from the team last year. 8. And that's the dude who took a shot at his own team that he's playing for about only having swimming trophies in the cabinet. And then they bring in 3 other dudes, which tally right around 1,000 total yards and 4 total guys who've ever caught a pass in college football. And you can't say that, well, yeah, we got some 5-star wide receivers, because depending on that's tough. So you were going to have to lean on that running game. And now, Baxter, who I think was their most dynamic player on offense, he's gone. Jaden Blue, he's going to be a good guy, but you can't run with one back in the SEC. And to toss it on the other side, we still yet to see Quinn Ewers finish the season healthy. And so now, if you have trouble, running the ball, then everybody on that D line gets to tee off on the quarterback. And how long is it before a nick and a bruise becomes a full-fledged quarterback controversy?
Ooh, you make a valid point there, my friend. When does that become a massive to-do, right? Yeah.
I mean, you can bet on that, Jay, that it's going to be, I'm trying to tee you up here, that it's going to be a conversation that's had early.
No, that's a fair point, and I love the way that you teed me up on this one, because as I'm getting these prepared, we've got to talk about, the latest partnership, because there's something that just happened recently that has got your boy in his, I guess you could say, in his excited feels, because it appears that the football gods love us in some capacity. So we got to talk about this, though. But this video, of course, is sponsored by our people over there at BetUS. Got to talk about the partnership, man. They've shown us some love and done some special stuff for us. But look at this. Look at this, Coop. Went to the site. Very easy. They got all the games you need, all the sports that you want. check them out. Link in the description below, our affiliate. That way you can let them know that I sent you. But Oklahoma's future, over 7.5, under 7.5. The over-under for the win total, right? That under is moved to even. That over is minus 130. You do know why, right?
Tell me why, Jay. If I were not a betting man who has not already put a bet on this, so let's just pretend that I haven't. What would that mean to me?
Cool. That means everybody hammering that number. Y'all are hammering that over because you know. And so because of that, my expectation, keeping it honest, that number's going to go up. I could see it by the time the season's starting, that bad boy sitting at 8 wins or 8.5 because they know that everybody's going to hammer it based upon, this is even with all of the hoopla going around fall camp. That number went up. So check out BetUS. Best part on your deposit, 125% bonus up to your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. They're taking care of you, and they give you a little bit of insurance. They're going to also give you 10% back twice a year on your net losses so that you can keep playing. Check out our people over there, BetUS, link in the description below. So cool.
And Jay, there's another. I think it is. It's you bet $100 for OU to win the SEC, and I think that you can win 3,000.
Yep.
So that's another bet that I've got in there because listen, if I lose $100 on that, that's it is what it is. But that's a pretty good flip, So go in there and check it out. If you go to the link, it's quite easy. And again, I like the fact with BetUS, if you get some losses in there, they're going to actually kick you back some money to kind of keep you interested.
Exactly, they're trying to keep you joining out in the game. So, cool. Fall camp. We got to talk a little bit of this. Shocking stuff have come down the line from camp. We all know that, Gibson has the official word that he's out. BV had his presser on Tuesday. He let us know that information. He's officially done for the year. Guess who has stepped up? Yep, chat, you're going to hear this. Steven, cover your ears. No, you're not going to like to hear this. Tulsa boy J.J. Hester has been rumored to be cooking right now.
It's
Look, you got a 6'4" wide receiver that runs a 4.4 40 that has missed the last 2 years because of a broken foot. And it looks like all of that's good. Remember, he was from Booker T. Washington in Tulsa. He transferred from Missouri because we didn't win his commitment. I don't know how the old regime didn't, but I digress. That's why. They didn't have an OK Prep agenda like this staff does. This staff has an OK Prep agenda. That staff did not. We bring him back into town, and he was okay. Got hurt, played late in the season, got hurt, missed the next. But it sounds like with the Jaden Gibbs situation, this man stepping up. Coop, how do you feel about a J.J. Hester 6'4" wide receiver jumping in the lineup this year?
So I was going to go back in there because I know that he's a fifth-year senior, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. He played 2 at Missouri, 2 at Missouri. He was redshirted at Missouri, played a year, and then,
And
2
then
years here.
I think that would have put him in the class with Weiss, Bridges, and Hazelwood.
Yep.
So, that's a big reason why he ended up there is because, we were literally the Hazelwood thing, and if you remember that recruitment, it was literally like us not being anything to do with him till all of a sudden he's committed. And so, but that's not what this is about. He's got size, he's got speed. Health has been the issue. We've heard quite often that the best ability is availability. It is hard to do anything on the field if you can't get on the field. So, it's kind of passed on to him. He knows the offense. He's been around the program. Obviously, I can't sit here and say like Emmett Jones needs a raise and Emmett Jones is cooking and in Emmett we trust, and then at the same time be like, but I don't trust him on this one. So he's obviously around them for all the time. And Sooner Cowboys, you stole my thunder here. But wouldn't it be kind of dope to let him go off on Missouri?
Hey, man. I
Now,
heard Theo Weiss and his people talking some noise out there, man.
And yeah,
and if Hester goes out there and shows out, bruh, sign me up.
So, but yeah, so it's there's no secret, that Scrimmage 1, you're out without Farouk. Andrell Anthony's not full participant yet. Jaden Gibson, bless his heart, again, we came on and we brought this out, right when it happened. That was the first thing that I heard, the night that it happened, is the concern was the patella, and that's what it ended up being. I thought it would be dropped on Monday, a little buried in with the scrimmage, from Friday. So, he now has the opportunity to come out. I mean, this is the situation that you ask for as a player. Give me the opportunity to do what I want to do. And now he doesn't have another guy out in front of him with a lot of hype. So there's going to be a balance of how does he manage this the pressure, because now this is his opportunity. This is his last go around. And we've seen guys their last year become somebody. And I don't think J.J. Hester is going to be a guy who's going to be pushing for the Blitnikoff, and I don't think he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. But what I would like to see him do is push 500, 600 yards, 3-4 touchdowns, and become another option, because I think that it's still going to be, you're still going to see Farouk. You saw the dime toss today. Farouk is back out and practicing, and he's still security blanket, and we got to let the Arizona game go. But I absolutely, you got Farouk. Burks has become Jackson's go-to. And so now who's that third person? And so I think JJ, he's got that first opportunity. If he can't, there's still cats behind him who are going to want to come in and do that. But that 6'4", 200-plus pound piece is where we actually get a chance to see. So, that's he offers that differently than a Burks does, than Andrell Anthony. And, again, I don't feel like trusting a 5-star or 4-star wide receiver as a freshman in the SEC to be a major producer is a very, very good recipe for success.
That's a good point. And even like to Chuck here asking about him only one pass since being here, how big of a jump can he really be? Corey makes a good point. Got to watch him in high school, dog. His high school numbers were stupid. He was good at Missouri, right? He was pretty decent at Missouri. The problem was he just hasn't been healthy. It's hard to play with your foot broken. But once he's been cleared, and BV even said it, he's been a big component for fall camp. He said it in the presser. And it sounds like him and Jackson Arnold are building the chemistry that Jackson Arnold had with Jaden Gibson. Not as much, but a solid one. A solid relationship, especially deep. Remember, he runs a 4.440, and he's getting back to that speed. So it sounds like he's still running that speed. So I'm not even arguing or even worried about or concerned about his capabilities, because if he's fast enough and Jackson Arnold has just enough time to just throw it and he just runs underneath it, be prepared. Hester is going to be I think he's going to be really solid for what we're trying to do. He's probably going to be a breakout dude. Now, we know Brennan is healthy and he's running fast. Jaquez Petaway is going to get it, right? I think he's going to do well understudying Deion Burks as your next slot guy, and just getting open and just getting out in space and making things happen. So, and Jay, that's the one I'm not worried about.
Jay Gibson had 13 catches last year. So 375 yards, 72. He did have 5 touchdowns. He made some really, really outstanding catches. So, again, I'm not saying I do not see J.J. Hester showing out to camp and throwing out 50 catches for 900 yards. I don't think that's what I'm asking from him, and I don't think that that's what we're asking, as a fan base. But 28 catches for 400 yards, that's 14 yards a catch, and that's a pretty attainable opportunity, especially if you are running 4.4, 200-pound plus at 6'4". So you're not asking him to come in and take that mantle. Andrell Anthony was on pace for 1,000+ yards last year until the end of the Texas game. I think Burks is probably going to be the leader in the clubhouse. is if you're tossing out weapons left and right. I think the biggest piece that we need to keep in mind here is, this is going to look a little different on the offensive side. And so you want to be able to take advantage of matchups, and you want to be able to take advantage and create different matchups. And I promise you, is if he rolls out there on a 5'9" defensive back, that's a mismatch immediately. And Jackson Arnold can throw it safely back shoulder to the sideline, put it to where it's Hester or nobody, and 5'9" dudes ain't going to be able to get up there with him.
Big receivers are fun for that.
Yeah.
And if you get them big and they're fast, even more fun. That's what's going to be good. Now, on the Jackson Arnold discourse, thank y'all for pulling up. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Wipe your feet. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And share. Why? Because sharing is caring. Cool. We got to talk about this conversation around Jackson Arnold. So I dropped a video yesterday. It's done very well, and it's been well received because I think that people started to get where I was coming from. And we talked about this in the court more in depth. And I talked about this in a few different courts. I talked to a few different people about this. And it's one of those things that I understand everyone's concern around Jackson Arnold and what's being reported. But Coop, the one thing that I realized why everybody's freaking out? Because it's been about 10 years since we've actually said we had a good defense. So when you're not used to stuff, you get uncomfortable about the thought of it happening, right? It's like, no, defense, if our offense isn't beating our defense, we have to suck. Because it's been so long since we've actually had a defense that's been any good. Right? The one time that we needed a defense, if we had a defense, we was going to win the Natty. Was that Georgia game? That has been an issue, the Achilles heel for this franchise for a while. So I say that specifically because I understand you fans. I get you. I empathize with your thought process of, Jay, there's no way we've got a good defense because we haven't seen that in so long. But I'm here to tell you, Coop went to school during it. I was in school during it. I was in high school during it. I remember watching it. Good defenses at Oklahoma have existed. Remember, we beat Florida State 13-2 for the Natty. We did it then, right? We did it. Brent Venables is bringing y'all that. He's bringing you exactly what you guys have been asking for. So the expectation of Jackson Arnold has literally been one thing that I've said this for a while. Heisman sound great? Sure does. Do I expect it? No. Top quarterback in the SEC sounds great, yes. Do I expect it? No. My expectation has been the same throughout all of this. He just needs to just take his time and make it happen. Let's lean on that defense. Coop, talk to me. What you think?
So everybody forgets about the 2020 defense, and
that's hilarious.
That group got hot at the end of the season when the guys from suspension came back. But before then, you're looking at, listen, who on Twitter saw the Army Kyler Murray game highlights being tossed around today? Like, I still have PTSD from that. Literally, we made one mistake the entire dadgum game on offense, and we won by 7 points. It just literally, the defense has been in such a bad place that it's hard. And yeah, truth, the 2020 ended up pretty high because when Ronnie Perkins came back, you had Isaiah Simmons, you had Perion Winfrey, and Nick Benito in there. Parnell Motley was balling out. They got hot at the end of the season after a lot of other stuff at the beginning of the season. But I digress. So, listen, if you guys have been watching this as long as I have, I remember way back in, and I want to say 2004, 2003, We lost. We were the number one team. We go down to A&M. Reggie McNeil takes the top off on Eric Bassey at safety a couple times, and I think we lost like 31-17. And it literally was like I couldn't understand giving up 31 points in a football game on defense as a Sooner. Like, it blew my mind. We were 3 or 4 years ago asking if we can just keep teams to 30, we could be much better. Mm-hmm. And so this defense has, an all conference defensive tackle in Dominic Williams. You have a lot of great healthy options. Starting with Ethan Downs, Caden Woolard, PJ Adebaware, R. Mason Thomas at the edge point. You've got, a Butkus, candidate who's probably going to be in the final 5 at least in Danny Stutzman. Then you've got an All-American safety at the back end. You've got great experience with Woody Washington on one corner, and you've got Gentry Williams, who some people are saying could be a first-round capability with good health. This defense is very, very good. They know exactly what's going to happen, and they know how to counteract anything that this offense is going to throw at them. So, if this offense rolled out and you hear that Jackson Arnold is, he threw 6 touchdowns today, and he, ran for 85 yards and went bananas. Like, that's where you go, all right, there's some concern here, because there's no explanation for that. There's no explanation for that. But I do say this, is you heard, Danny Stutzman baits Jackson Arnold. Knows exactly what's about to happen. He baits Jackson Arnold. Jackson puts another inch of air underneath the ball, and it's a completion for a big gain. Danny Stutzman didn't have that situation. He got the ball, it threw to him, he runs it back. That's a big play. Another one was a tipped pass at the line of scrimmage. Another one was a fumble on an exchange. So we've got we're going to have the bumps and bruises, and whether it was Trevor Lawrence, Taj Boyd, Nate Hibble, Jason White, any of these guys who were going against BV defenses were doing the same thing. They have an absolute, unrelenting defensive strategy in practice, and it is, no, listen, we're going to continue to do what we do, and we're going to attack, and we are going to do this to be dominant, and we're not interested in making it easy on the offense. And trust me, if you guys go Google it, and go if you could go up to ask Kevin Wilson, hey, how easy was Bree V in practice when you were the offense coordinator at Oklahoma? And he will say, I hate it. It's bad. I don't like it. And so just to calm the Jets here, the past 2 days have been a lot better for the offense side. Andrew Anthony is playing a little bit more. Farouk was back in the practice. They stayed with a first string line on offense. So it's yeah. So I mean, what do you want us to say at this point? Then the defense is better than the offense at this point in camp. It should be that way, but it's going to be that way this season. And that is no knock on our offense. That is just saying this defense has a chance to be one of the best defenses in the nation.
Yep. To even add to that, what's up, Truth, our resident Texas fan that pulls up that 2020 season? Man, I don't count that year. I ain't count that year as real, dog. And it's only because it was all in-conference games and everybody was dealing with half their players not showing up and players not playing. There was a lot of, wildness there. So I don't really count that one. But around it, it was a lot of them that should have populated, right? So, it's he's gonna the way that, and Chuck, Teddy was there. Teddy also talked about how there were plays made, and he also mentioned that the practices usually favor the defense, right? Because they know each other. They know the plays. They know what they're getting into. At this point, the players are tired of hitting each other. They're ready to hit somebody else. They're ready to run through walls and level out the competition. But now the reports for today's which was a different type of practice, Jackson Arnold was spinning it. Some deep touchdowns, some good close routes. Like you couldn't get him, couldn't get to him. So you're going to get a lot of that. But yeah, no, you're right. That 2021, I think we beat Florida 54-20.
Yeah,
we blasted them. And they said that they didn't have any players. Kyle Trask played in that game, but they didn't have anybody playing in that game.
But listen, Kyle Trask also was worried about, his, all-pro, soon-to-be NFL Hall of Fame tight end who has yet to show out in the NFL. He bailed out. 2 of the receivers bailed out. But I'm 99% sure that 3 of his interceptions, the defensive back was in front of the wide receiver. So I don't care which wide receiver it is. We balled out. But I digress again. Yeah, that was the last time that we actually had a functional defensive unit, and they were great. And those guys, if Perion Winfrey wasn't a psycho, don't come eat me, Perion, but he would still be in the league. And I think that if he would have been under Brent Venables in this crew, I would love to see what he would have became. But Nick Bonito still in the league, Isaiah Thomas still in the league, so these guys are still out there. So, but yeah, it's guys. I just promise you this. This team, the defense is extremely experienced. And don't forget about Kendall Dolby. Kendall Dolby also, he won almost every single internal defensive award at the end of the year. And we got KD is actually going to be coming on with us here in a couple weeks, right before we get kicked off, as long as he doesn't get told not to. So everybody keep that quiet. But I won't say it online. But anyway, you've got so much experience there. And you're still trying to figure out a lot of chemistry stuff and a lot of offensive line fits. From what I understand, is 3 of those spots are pretty solid. But now you're hitting to where you're seeing at least injuries are starting to pile up in teams across the country, and it's getting frustrating. Not just college football, you're seeing it in NFL also. And so you just gotta hope let's get to the line and better be lucky that again I roll tide there, Keith Holcomb. You guys go and play Wisconsin. I'm kind of glad that we don't have one of those games this year because I think that we do need a little bit of a runway to get taken off for some of the injuries to come back around and get guys to get healthy.
I 100% agree with you on that part. Thank you for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you're listening, rate, review, give us those 5 stars. Shout out to our sponsor of the channel, of this video, BetUS. They've always been helping your people out, as Coop pointed up there. 125% on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Go lay hands on that Oklahoma over 7.5 because y'all have been hammering it anyway. Everybody, all the bettors have been looking at it saying, yep, Oklahoma's underrated, and they trying to make monies. Vegas is going to keep raising that because they don't want nobody to take it. So check them out. Go to BetUS. They'll hook you up too. All right, Keith, roll tide. Roll tide, roll tide. Good to see you. Now, let's hang out. I know y'all got a lot of questions all up in here, especially coming this season. Drop them in here. I'm going to scroll through and see if I can find any additions. I know we had a question in here about the offensive line. The last 2 reports I've seen that have come together, and it's been like a consistent thing on it. The interior is awesome. Interior's going to be fine. Your center, your 2 guards, we're Gucci. One of the 2 tackles seems to be shooting up the charts. Jake Taylor shooting up. Sexton has been consistent because he's Sexton, but he's also played some guard to help. Tarkin, it looks like he's getting into position to play. But the thing that I'm excited about the offensive line, Coop, this is the one thing that made me excited in all the conversations, is that it does appear that we actually have a 2 deep that can play.
Yeah.
We actually got 2 deep on every position that's ready. We have a Troy Everett sighting in practice.
Yep, he's back in, and he adds immediate depth at guard and center. We've got right now today. So I hear Jake Taylor and Branson Hickman were on the trainer table a little bit today. So you had Josh Bates, who was back out there and getting his in. Bates made this interesting. He had a chance to to take his ball and go home, or to man up and compete. And he has done more than that. You don't have to rush back Everett, but it is. You've got to fight with Ozeta. Sorry, Myra Ozeta. She hit me up in my DMs and it gave me the gentle correction on how to say the name.
Ozeta.
The Ginger Avenger. I can pronounce that pretty well, and I'm Ginger. So there you go. You have a 2 deep, and that's going to be super key in this conference. I mean, you cannot roll out the offensive line that we did against Arizona and compete for 13 games. You just can't do that. That's just not a capability. So the offensive line is continuing. Now I do, we've seen this last year, the year before that, and the year before that, Jay, since the Joe Moore team. Bill Bedenbaugh is going to tinker. He's going to get stuff in there. He's going to give you matchup based lineups. If it is heavier on the defensive tackle on the inside, you're going to have a better you're going to have a stouter interior. And if you're going to have more edge pressure, you're going to have some help over there. But the other thing is I think this team is an 11 personnel type of team, and we're going to see a good amount of tight end play between Roberts and Bauer Sharp. Now we're starting to hear that Caden Helms is been out there, been healthy, and been balling out a little bit too. So we get a chance to see an offensive line kind of come together, and they took this pretty personal.
That's a good point. Yeah, they're hearing the chatter, they're hearing the noise talk, and they're saying, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to show out." And yes, it's massive. Troy Everett showing up, getting in shape, getting his body ready to play. He's already over 300, so he's a big boy, and he's getting there. So be prepared for him to show. Keith, this is a good, fun question. How long do you think it took Dabo to get over losing his best coordinator?
2022.
The team hasn't recovered
how long?
yet. They ain't recovered. They're not looking very good on the defensive side of the ball. With all the talent that they have, they still don't look that good. That's a little wild, ain't it?
I remember watching some of those Clemson games, and it was reminiscent of your 2000 Baltimore Ravens, to where it was just tough to get it to do anything. A run up the middle was tough. A run at the edge was tough. Any type of swing pass, guys were hitting you hard. It's still not there. I promise you this: we've had a couple coordinator changes at Clemson, and it's going to start falling on Dabo here pretty soon, because people are going to start wondering, hey, listen, what are you without that Venables defense? And
yep.
Again, the Sammy Brown flip question. Listen, you have yourself a tough year, and a lot of people are going to have questions on whether or not that is something you want to continue to deal with, because he doesn't do the transfer portal, so he's not going to be bringing people in. And also the ACC, they're not one of the big two. And so, especially if you see SMU go out there and cause some chaos this year.
Ooh-wee. SMU is going to be a problem in the ACC. Look, a lot of people don't understand the history behind SMU. If you haven't, go watch the Pony Excess. Is that what it is? I think it was the Pony Excess. It's ESPN 30 for 30 about SMU, Eric Dickerson, and all the wild stuff that went down with the gold Trans Am. But I digress on that. They got money. SMU has money. And those Dallas dudes have been wanting to really pour it into that team, because, they don't do it because they're G5. No reason to. But now they want it because why? They're in the big boy conference. And they got a chance to show out. Like, SMU is going to be a problem. Stink, man. Thank you for the $100. Get emotional. What's up? We appreciate it. O-line going to make a lot of people eat their words. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was the Pony Express. That's what it was. I was trying to think it was Excess. I think somebody else made a joke about it calling it Excess. Pony Express. Watch that. 30 for 30 is fantastic. I actually have them behind here somewhere. But it's awesome. It's a fantastic documentary on that one. Totally worth watching that. Thank you so much. But yes, Stink, you are 100% right. Folks going to eat their words on the offensive line just because Beaton Bow puts it together. I mean, shout out to even my guy Truth, right? Freddie Truth. He's a Texas fan, but he'll tell you. He's like, Oklahoma always figures out that offensive line by the time they get to Texas. Some magical way, the offensive line is figured out by the Texas game. That is probably we'll probably have figured out before that. But the good thing is, like I said, 2 deep is huge. All right, Coop.
Jay, we got a question which goes along with the offensive line, and that is something that is 7 days away.
I'm going to look real quick. I love this from Neo. Can we get Gus Johnson hired to actually call our games? Man, I would pitch in for that. I don't know how, but I would like to pitch that as well. But yeah, recruiting news, recruiting update, something we haven't had much of as of recent because I'm going to be honest, 2026 is still not a real year for me. And it appears that it ain't for Coop. Coop's supposed to be putting some stuff together for the other channel. We neither one of us have done anything because we just don't feel like it's a real year yet. But it feels like it because here's the big news. Fasusi. Anything updates on him? It's like the last recruit before the games. I'm going to put it to you like this. You're going to see a whole bunch of screenshots floating around the X-Bird over the next few days. Message board geniuses are definitely going to get a hold of these. And they're going to post them as well. And as you see the shirt that Coop is wearing, it tells you, in Beaton Bow we trust. That's all I'm going to say. Because for Susie, things just sound like they're going good. Now, I'm assuming that OU Insider is live right now, and I'm probably believing that they're probably talking this up like crazy. They are live right now. So we know that they're going to definitely give you all the goods on the inside. They actually just started about 11 minutes ago. They started a little bit late, a little bit later than normal, usually around 8:30, but we always overlap each other as they move theirs up. What we're hearing is that Fasusi is looking really good for this side. Based upon the message board stuff that I'm seeing, I feel like there's some white flags being thrown out there. A couple of these white flags is flying.
Man, you pulled out a Dallas Cowboys tail, and I
got that at a game. I went to Dallas versus Tampa Bay to go see Brady's last. I got it when Brady played there, so it's my towel to clean up here in the office. But yeah, yes, Neo, I'm talking about Michael Fasusi. Everybody has got it right now pegged for him, but it sounds like, as Friday Truth just posted, everybody thinks he's coming to Oklahoma. I don't know yet. Can't confirm or deny. We're still waiting to see and hear. But I'm telling you this, that there's a good chance we land him, and it's easily because he'll be able to play within the first 2 years. He'll compete at least in the first 2 years. Because his last class that came through is they're getting healthy and getting up to speed. There's a good chance because we only got really one tackle in that class. I think Akinkumi is more of a guard, but he can play tackle. He can play all five, but he's more of a guard probably at the next level. Isaiah Autry's your tackle. And then from there, you kind of could use an additional one to go with that. So there you go.
So just based off facts, I know a Texas cat is about to do a little flippy flip with the crystal ball. I think Parker just put it out that based off some of his recent conversations, same situation. Our shout out boy PG, our diaper blowout baby, he's been pretty tight with this for a very long time. At this point, I see nothing that tells me that this is not going to be Oklahoma. It's a 5-star recruit, and I will say this is the words that I've heard is that the decision has already been made, that no commitment has been given to the coaches, but internally the decision's been made. This engagement wise for all the fan bases, so that's all of his finalists, you're going to see, measured messages being put out there about him from A&M, from Missouri, from Texas, and you're going to see those things happen as this week rolls in, because they need the fans to still believe that there's a chance that he picks them. But this is a 3-year long recruitment, and I know a lot of people don't like the relationship game. Nobody wants to say, well, yeah, he's got a great relationship, but there's so many different elements in here. Now, you see the Georgia Tech kid, the Petty kid who just signed, was it for $800,000 at Georgia Tech? God. I don't know if the number's going to be in that area, and I think that there's a legit Georgia Tech can do that. None of their cats are doing that, and to be relevant and to be something, you got to do that. But for a program like Oklahoma, for a program like Texas, for Alabama, for Georgia, the moment that you skyrocket a position like that, and I'm leaving quarterbacks aside, but even an offensive lineman or wide receiver, everybody else in that locker room is going to come back and be like, well, let's talk about my number. And then you got those CeeDee Lamb type situations where it's like, hey, they've been getting theirs, and I think it's time for me to get mine too. And college football has changed, but it's not there yet. And you got to be careful, because the last thing you want to do is having dudes who you've promised money at in the locker room at Texas, at Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, come back and say, hey, listen, you told me I was going to be the top one. He just got $150K more than it's time to raise my money. Because if you can't make it happen, now you got another transfer portal situation. So there's so many more elements that come into this, and we're just getting it started. It's only going to get worse before it gets better from that type of game. But I think the relationship with Bill Bedenbaugh and Fasusi being a 3-year deal, I think Sean Hutton being here, I think that some of those conversations, I think that's why it wins in the end. And, again, when you look up and, 3 of the best offensive linemen in NFL were Sooners, that doesn't hurt either.
So, as we're having this conversation, a FutureCast just went in at 8:43 p.m. for Oklahoma to get Michael Fasusi.
And who was that, Mr. J?
Brandon Drum just dropped his FutureCast.
And I know that Parker said he was about to drop his, so... based off the conversation. So it's I think Fasusi is a guy who has 3 years and then NFL on his mind. So there's that. But I think that's I posted it about a month ago, and I said for all the Bill Bedenbaugh haters, this guy might F around and get Recruiter of the Year. Because I think Foje still is borderline 5-star, might end up a 5-star by the end of the cycle. Owen Hollenbeck is a wrestler and a power lifter, and he is a bouncer. And Darius Afalava, I think, is he's got the right mix of strength and nasty and crazy. So, Bill Bedenbaugh might be putting together a really, really, really good offensive line haul here, and it's going to get noticed across the country when, especially if Foje ends up as a 5-star. And you may circle back to another guy who committed somewhere else that we thought could be a Sooner too. So,
yep.
I'm not talking about David Hicks. I'm not talking.
Nope.
About Hicks.
Yep. Please don't. He no longer exists. He's not real to me until he actually is real. So I know a lot of people like to, ride with that assumption. But no, just now, Drums dropped his, and it sounds like the Texas guys are about to start putting theirs in probably in the next 24, 48 hours. So if everything flips on top of its head with predictions and stuff, you understand why. You didn't hear it here first, but you have heard, because it's going to all start happening. All the predictions are about to start going through, where people are going to start changing their minds. Because it's funny, all of these came in in March when he did his visit there, and everybody's like, oh, it's a done deal, it's a done deal, it's a done deal. And yeah, it sounds like we care enough about putting on the line. All right, we're going to wrap this up with a bow on it. Y'all go check out OU Insider. Brandon and Parker are doing their thing now. They always make some stuff happen. Shout out to BetUS. They did that again right there. There it is. They hooked your people up. Check them out in the link description below, as well as in the pinned comment. Hook you up today with a nice betting offer, 125% on your first 2 deposits, up to $2,000. They are making the magic happen. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. I don't think we deserve it. Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. And with that, we will chop it up with all of you in the next day or two. Peace.